between us.
Why can not be just be in reference to their physical location?
What? Why would that?
Well, yeah,
Let me just get the statement.
because he says, I want to see the difference between us, right? Referring to them as a group and that man. And then he's in reference to Whitebeard. And there's a sizable gap in between. Why is it not just in reference to like physical location, not their power?
Physical location?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wait. Hold on. Are you don't think it's like a you think he's genuinely talking about like the distance between each other?
I already answered that. We can move on.
What do we? No, I'm like asking for. I can't tell if you're being real.
We can move on. I already answered that. We can move on.
What the fuck does that have to?
You're not attacking what I'm saying.
So you're actually talking about that, just to clarify.
Okay, we can move on.
Why would he state that? Why would he say that if he was just talking about the distance between each other, like the actual physical distance? That's very. Can you get the scan if you wouldn't mind, if you have it on hand?
You're the one. I was giving it off of my memory. I mean, I can find it. I guess whatever.
All right.
I have the anime clip if y'all want. I know if y'all only want to use manga though. It's up to y'all.
No, I don't really care for the anime.
Where manga list?
Yeah, he really
I got it. There you go.
Yeah.
I just want to measure the true distance between that man and us.
That's not
blatant.
the translation.
I feel like the translation probably don't matter.
Wait, do you have the exact kanji for it? I can just translate it. Cause I haven't seen translation.
Not off the top of my head. Fucking no, I don't have that.
I don't see why your translation.
But I'm confused. What does the translation say that's different? I feel like.
But yeah, it says the true distance between us. I mean, they say like around the same thing. I think that's like fine, whatever. But
yeah,
again, I don't see why this has to be in reference to power, not just their actual location, because we know there's a sizable gap.
Well, I know. I'm saying that this would be referencing power.
We'll prove that.
Well, one, obviously, I don't think he's trying to pull out a fucking ruler and just check. He's about 50 fucking meters away from me. That doesn't really seem like it would make sense. Because they're not talking about that in context. That's not an important statement. The whole point of Mihawk's character is he wants to value the strength between himself and others. That's why he became the strongest swordsman. So if you were to just be fucking talking about...
Hold up.
I'm in the middle of talking. What the fuck do you mean? Hold up.
It's like the third point, because you're saying that this is not in his character, and then you're saying it's not within the context. You're saying you're like jumping between multiple points, right? Let's say on like 1 point.
Yeah, the character is his context.
Well, no, you're saying the context of this, right? And then you're saying, and then you're giving it in character,
and the character is a part of the context.
That's two separate things. You're saying the context.
Do you think his character doesn't have anything to play in the context?
You're saying the context of the event and his character, right?
I'm saying, okay, let me clarify for you. I'm saying that the context is containing his character as well, considering the fact that Mihawk's the one making the claim.
I mean, okay, but you're citing multiple pieces of the context to try.
Yeah, that's how context works. You cite a lot of things from the context to make a claim on what's being said.
We should stay on 1 point at a time. I don't care if you feel like jumping on
different pieces of evidence for a single point aren't different points.
I mean, I would consider that a different point. Like, obviously, right? We can be trying to figure out who's stronger in this one instance. You can give 12 fucking hacks. They all obviously lead to the same conclusion. My character having this new ability, but that would still be a separate point, which is kind of what you're doing, right? You're using all these different pieces of the same scan, right, to draw to your conclusion.
Okay. Let me. I think you got to be a little confused. So, okay. The context of the situation is Mihawk is making a claim about the. What I'm saying is a metaphorical distance between him and Whitebeard, right? So I'm using the character of Mihawk to describe this distance as not something that is physical, like fucking pulling out a fucking meter stick and seeing how far away he is, but he's talking about the level of strength.
Yeah, and then I would just want to stay on that point at a time. I know because you were trying.
That's not a different point.
No, because you're trying to go on to a different point.
What's the different point?
Well, no, you're citing the context, and you're like, okay, and right, which kind of implies you're gonna go on to a new thought.
Let me ask you: Do you disagree with the context that I said of Mihawk?
Yes.
What do you disagree with about Mihawk?
Well, yeah, no, because you're saying Mihawk's whole character is him trying to find someone that's like his like rival or something, right? Do you see something of that sort?
Not exactly. It's just he just kind of likes the measure of strength. Hence why he calls himself the strongest swordsman.
All right. Wait, hold on. Give me a second.
He compared himself to a bunch of different swordsmen who became the strongest, so now he's comparing himself to the strongest man.
All right. Damn, that nigga's far. All right, okay. So you're trying to say that it's within his character because his whole character is him measuring up to people in his power. Can you show me him measuring like other people's power?
Well, I brought that up already. That's what I talked about with the strongest swordsman claim.
Well, can you show me that?
Well, let me ask you: Do you disagree with him calling himself the strongest swordsman?
I don't recall Miyako ever calling himself the strongest swordsman. No.
Okay, so then by that statement, he would be comparing himself to others and placing himself at the top.
I literally just said I don't remember him ever
You
saying
don't?
that. Okay. Yeah, show me an instance where Miyako ever proclaims himself to be the strongest swordsman.
Okay. I believe he does it in his first fight with Zoro.
No, he doesn't. Mm-hmm.
Do you think by him calling his sword an extension of himself?
Wait.
Be,
Hold up. Just find the scan, or unless you're gonna drop that, just find the scan, and then we can argue upon it. I don't care to argue about under some hypothetical unless you're gonna drop it.
I wasn't hypothetical. I was just asking a question. Do you think by him calling his sword the strongest sword, that would be an extension of him being the strongest swordsman?
I don't know. I'm not even aware of that statement. Just show me either of those statements being made.
Oh,
Of him
yeah,
either
I got you.
proclaiming himself being the strongest swordsman, or him, then he is like the strongest blade.
Yeah, here you go. He does say it again, Zoro.
All right.
Also, would you say that he doesn't agree with his own title?
Wait, hold up. Don't let's get down one thing at a time.
Well, I mean,
All right, so you're saying because he says he has the world's strongest sword, he quantifies strength all the time?
What?
You're trying to say, so since he calls himself the strongest sword...
No, what I originally said was, do you think him, by extension of the sword being a part of him being a swordsman, calling his sword the strongest sword, would you concur that that'd be like an agreement to him saying he's the strongest swordsman?
No, because anyone
he has
can
the strongest sword.
No.
I mean, he himself thinks that like you can have a strong sword but not be the strongest swordsman. He's calling his fucking sword strong.
We don't even know why he thinks his sword is the strongest. It can be because of legacy it had.
All right, well, that's fine. So then let me ask you this: Do you think Mihawk disagrees with his title?
I have no clue.
Okay, so what do you think? What do you think he thinks of his title?
I have no idea. Never stated I have a strong opinion on it.
Oh, okay. So then, what does this have to do with anything? Do you disagree with him comparing? I'm very confused by what your contention is here, because I'm basically saying is he is comparing his strength to Whitebeard. Would you agree with that?
No,
I feel like that's a very simple proclamation.
No, I think he's just comparing the physical distance, and this is why he like.
And why would he be doing that?
Well, yeah, because they're a sizable distance away, and he wanted to say if one, he can just be because he just can. That's it fits perfectly within the context of the scan.
All right, well then let's go off the context of the scan itself. Then I mean, he says, "Huh? Are you really going to fight?" And he says, "I just want to measure the true distance between us."
That's not what he says. That's what Doflamingo says.
No, that's what I'm saying. He says, Doflamingo says, "Are you really going to fight?" And he says, "I just want to measure the distance between us and that man." As a response to that. I doubt I really need to explain why the context. The context.
Not even a direct response to that. It's just one.
Who else would he be talking to?
Wait, no, he's just proclaiming it out loud. He's not in reference to anyone. Like he never acknowledges Doflamingo.
Okay,
In
do we
any
see
way,
me
shape, or
pull out a
form.
ruler and just start checking the distance between the two of them?
Wait,
What does he
no,
do?
but we
What does he
wait.
do in the rest of the arc?
Wait, hold up. Let me tell. All right, but we know, right? You'll obviously be able to see how far your attack would go, and it
What
will.
the fuck are you talking about?
Well,
Genuinely.
yeah, if you use like a sword slash used for far range, right? You can like say, oh wow, that doesn't hit him, so it's a pretty sizable distance, right? You can really
But
gauge the
that's not what
distance.
he.
And
Okay, so
again,
you're doing the thing that you
this
said you didn't want me to do, which is bring up like weird hypotheticals. No, because after this point, we see him go fight.
he never approaches Whitebeard to fight. He uses a far range attack,
Come on.
right? Which is what he
Does
does
he? He
verbatim.
never approaches Whitebeard. He fight. That's not the fucking point. He tries to attack him. Right?
I
Right?
mean,
That's what you just said.
he uses an attack to like measure the distance between the two. Yeah.
Prove that. Prove that's what he was
Well,
trying to do.
well, yeah. So he said, I want to measure the distance between the
All
two.
right. Now you're
Then
gonna go
okay,
circular.
stop. Oh my god.
No, because I understand
Not
what you're already
already
doing.
having
You're
a
going
normal
circular.
conversation. Let me finish talking. The ADD shit. Okay. So it's pretty simple, right? Again, he says, I want to measure distance between the two. He uses the attack to gauge the true distance between the two because we know your perception can be skewed, right?
Okay. Hold on. So let's type this out.
Why would he do that? He's doing that because he wants to see if Whitebeard would actually be a real threat from that distance. For example, if you're like on the moon, you wouldn't be as big as a threat if you're like right next to me, right?
All right, so I'm gonna put this in text so it's easier to understand. So I asked you to prove he is measuring the distance, and you say, "Oh, he is using an attack to measure the distance." Do I really need to explain why that's like? Sure. I mean, if you have the statement of him proclaiming himself to be the strongest swordsman, but at this point, it's not really that important. So back to what I'm saying. I feel like I don't need to explain why this is like violently circular from the gut, visceral.
What? How is it circular? I'm saying you're asking me to
Okay.
prove.
I
Wait,
asked you to prove. Hold on, I'm gonna
stop.
explain why it's circular. You asked.
God.
You asked me to
That was a
prove,
rhetorical
or I
question.
asked you to prove.
That was a rhetorical question. Calm down. Okay.
It was a
So
rhetorical question.
yes, it was a
Are
question
you
I meant to
sure?
answer. Yes.
How was that circular? As a rhetorical question. All right.
Yes. Yeah, because you're just asking me. So
Well, do you
you
think I
asked proof
properly
he's measuring.
explained how it's circular? Then what the fuck do you
Oh
mean
my.
that's a rhetorical question?
Oh my God. Can we have moderation? He keeps interrupting me. Can someone mod? Like, he does not have a conversation.
What the fuck was I interrupting?
I was in the middle of talking. You just interrupted me. After a rhetorical
All right.
question.
Say what you're gonna say. Say what you're gonna say.
All right, okay. So the reason why it's not circular is because like previous measuring the distance, and I'm giving reasons contextually why he would be, plus the statement itself, right? I'm using the statement along with the context to reach my conclusion.
Okay. So one, the conclusion you have is that he is measuring distance using an attack, right? And then I asked you what the
Well,
basis
wait,
was
no,
for him.
wait, that's not.
Well, hold on. Don't interrupt me after you just did all that bullshit.
That's not my conclusion. But I
Okay,
mean, you can
but
you,
don't
you
interrupt
got it.
me after. Don't interrupt me after you did all that shit.
Okay.
Okay, so the point was, the conclusion was that he was measuring distance using the attack, right?
No, it's not true.
Okay,
No.
so then what the fuck are we talking about?
We can go to conclusion. You're not talking about argument. We can go to conclusion.
What are we concluding on? What the fuck do we have?
This whole point on whether or not Mihawk's
You
measuring
think you
distance is
genuinely proved that he
but,
was throwing an attack to measure distance? You think you
you're
genuinely
not
proved that?
attacking the argument. We can
I
move on
have.
to
I've
the
already
conclusion.
proclaimed it as circular. Don't be wrong.
I've already explained how that's not circular. You
So
can
who's even the judge? Like, I don't even
I
know what
was
the
gonna
fuck y'all
say.
niggas are
I mean,
concluding
Midnight's been
to.
here the longest, but I don't know how he feels about
I
Midnight.
don't want a judge.
Center was supposed to be here. He's not.
If I were the
I don't
judge, I
even
would tell y'all to
understand what the
debate
fuck would we be
longer. Like, this
concluding.
point wasn't. If you guys want a judge and you want to beat me, I'd say don't even conclude now. Like, there's nothing to conclude
Exactly.
on
Like,
it.
what the fuck are we concluding?
whether or not Mihawk is measuring the distance or measuring
Yeah,
his
but
But
this
let me
point
ask you: are
hasn't.
you serious? Do you really want to
Hold
conclude
on.
here?
This point hasn't gone long enough for me to give it to either or. Like, there's so many unfinished
That's
points.
what
I'm
I
not
mean.
gonna.
Like, what the fuck? What are we concluding? You're not attacking my argument. What?
so if you don't
Okay.
think
So all right. So then let's continue. Then, if you don't think I'm attacking your argument, all right. So you're proclaiming that he is, by
Wait, hold
virtue of
on.
stating
I'm
that
gonna
he
just
is.
moderate and judge them, bro. This is not. So
Okay. Are you proclaiming that he is?
just to clarify both claims, right? So I know I'm gonna start writing shit down if y'all want to. Hold on, I'm gonna paper out. So
Right.
Hoodie's making the claim this Mihawk statement's within context to Mihawk trying to measure the power between both him and Whitebeard. And Doflamingo, you're making the claim that within context it's distance, right?
Yeah.
Got both y'all claims right. Okay. Keep going.
All right, cool. So, within the context of him being asked by Doflamingo if he's going to fight, he says this as a response to him. Oh, I just want to measure the true distance between me and that man. Or if you want to get fucking specific and go off the damn shit he posted, this is merely a conjecture. But the true distance between us and that man seems rather small. It doesn't matter which translation you use. The implication here is not that he's going to pull out a fucking meter stick and check how far away it is, right? The implication here is that he's going to go try and fight Whitebeard, and that's what he does when he throws the attack, which is just kind of further proof of him comparing himself to Whitebeard. While Doflamingo's argument is fucking, well, he throws out the attack to see how far away he is. Like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. The context doesn't support that, and the only support he provided was the circular argument.
So the problem with one, I don't see really proving how he's directly in response to Doflamingo. I don't see how that would be a direct response. That's just a proclamation. Like if you say, yeah, it's like a nigga right next to you making a statement and then you saying something out loud. The statement does not have to be in direct response or hold any relevance to the statement he just made. So I don't see why you're trying to connect the two. And then not only just
all
that.
right. Before you go on, then let me respond to that.
Bro, mute the nigga, bro. I did not interrupt him once. Please mute this nigga, bro.
Well, you're making a proclamation about my argument.
Please mute this nigga, bro. I let him finish
Yep.
talking.
Okay. Now, before I start moderating and muting and shit, I'm gonna clarify what you call standard both of y'all want to debate about. Do you guys both want to go singular point by singular point, or are you guys fine with like using like 2 to 3 points at once as long as it's not like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 type shit?
No,
Which one
Well, I
you
would
guys
rather him not just like pull out fucking random fucking bullshit and just keep yapping. You know what I mean? Like, what?
I want to go 1 point at a time.
That's what I was trying to do.
Are you guys fine with interjections if it's within context of clarification of a point, or if
No.
like someone's been rambling for 2 minutes?
No.
So under no context will there be any interjections.
As long as they're still on 1 point, yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. I think it would be like the judges. Mm-hmm.
So under the context of somebody going on to another point, the other person has the right to interject if they're calling it out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you agree with that?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Okay, all on recording.
All right. So I'm saying that one, I don't see why you're trying to correlate the Doflamingo statement to Mihawk. I think they're they're not correlated in any way, shape, or form. And again, I think he's using his slash to measure the distance to see whether or not Whitebeard is a real threat from that distance, right? That does not mean that he's trying to mean it in a way of like a measuring power in any way, shape, or form. And again, you're actually no, we can just go into that later. Yeah, that's pretty much just my argument, and you're trying to interpret like figuratively.
All right. So one, you made the claim that him just saying this after fucking Doflamingo says something directly to him just has nothing to do with Doflamingo's previous statement. Doubt I need to explain why that's fucking autistic as fuck. When somebody says something to you, you respond. You don't just say something that's a complete fucking random proclamation. Like, yeah, I know this dude just said something to me. I don't really give a fuck. I'm just going to ignore it and then say something completely irrelevant. That would require proof. You would have to probably give some sort of reasoning as to why he'd just say something completely separate from the thing that just got asked to him. That's fucking retarded. And you didn't really, I don't think, did you go over the circular reasoning thing? I don't want to.
No, I didn't go on it. We can go into that in like the next point though.
All right. Well, so then let's conclude on this point because I feel like I've already explained why. And you were tweaking out to conclude.
What's the update so far? What's the update so far?
We're talking about like the fucking Mihawk measuring the distance thing.
Right. Well, I mean, we can.
Wait, who has?
Now.
I don't agree to go to conclusions right now.
All right. So what the fuck is your deal? You
just made an argument. You just made an argument.
I
So
made an argument that was a response to your original one. That's why I was asking for a conclusion.
I just want to respond to that. So do you know like how the the warlord's set up, right? They're like all right next to each other. So this doesn't even have to be in reference to Mihawk. It can be in reference to Boa Hancock, etc., who are all getting ready to fight him also. So it doesn't even have to necessarily be in reference to Mihawk.
Well, Mihawk's the only person shown on panel, and then Mihawk talks immediately after on the same panel. So I mean,
I don't think it's. I don't think
the Razor.
I don't think you can prove it's immediately after.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
wait, stop.
it happens in the next panel.
Wait. Just because it happens in the next panel doesn't mean it happens immediately after. Like we see in
Then you would
Wanda.
have to prove that there
Stop!
was a
Oh my
certain
God,
passing of time.
bro, mute the nigga. All right. I don't see, like, for example, in Wano, right? We see they're in present day, and then in literally the next panel below, they're like 20 years in the past. We see that shit happens all the time in One Piece. Even in like Marineford, even the arc in Marineford itself, we see it happen with the Ace, like with the Ace and Garp flashback, right? One panel, we're in current day. Next panel, we're 20 years in the past, right? We know the panels can be varying in time frame. So I don't see how you're making an assertion on the time frame here. We know it can vary, and it varies within the arc.
Okay, so that's a claim that needs to be proven. I doubt I've already said this. You would need to prove that. If it happens directly after the next panel, I think Occam's razor would provide reasoning as to why that would happen chronologically next. Is that like a ridiculous claim? Is that fucking wild?
Wait, hold up, say it again.
Okay. If a panel is shown, and then right after that panel, they show another panel of him saying words in response to the other thing, or supposedly in response to the other thing, do you not think Occam's razor would dictate the fact that that happened chronologically after the previous panel? Is that like a crazy claim?
I don't see why it has to be in response.
Okay, yeah.
To it. But wait,
You're saying
hold
it
up.
can
Wait, hold up. No, because you asked for proof.
be a
Of this.
passing of time.
Wait, I just want to give fulfill the burden. Hold up.
Fulfill the burden of time
Wait.
passing between the statements?
Wait, no, hold on.
What's the burden? I'm kind of, I don't know what burden you're fulfilling. Unless it's the burden of him of there being a passage of time between these two frames. The way I understood your argument was that it was I'm talking to Midnight.
Oh, okay.
Well, talking for Midnight, I should say. The way I understand is you're saying that it could have been a passage of time between here, right? Is that wrong? Is that correct? What the fuck is this for?
Oh wait, no, hold up. Let me get the actual manga panel.
Well, I don't understand. Are you just trying to argue that there's other fucking there's other warlords there? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, that there's people right next to him. So him. So
yeah,
that.
Wait, so that was never really a part of my argument.
Wait, okay, stop.
Well, I'm interrupting you because you're not attacking part of my argument.
Okay, no, you can.
Hoodie,
That's fine. Like,
what did you say, Midnight?
I said let the open go finish.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, so the statement does not have to be in reference to Mihawk. The statement could be in reference to Boa, Kuma, fucking Moria. It can be in reference to any one of them. Just because.
Go to Geese, bro. Go to. Bro, go.
All right, yeah, just because he's the one showing that channel, I don't see why that necessitates the statement is in reference to him. Right? We know.
Yo,
Yeah.
Doffy, can you repeat that? That other guy talked over you.
All right. Okay. So I'll just summarize it. Pretty much, just because they make the statement and Miyake is shown on screen doesn't mean the statement is in direct response to Mihawk. And then it can be in reference to any number of people, Kuma, Boa, Moria, any one of them. It doesn't really matter. But again, they can just be talking about them off screen. And then he wanted me to show him that, like, fucking in the panels.
So you remember when we talked about going point by point? This is kind of delving into 2 points now. So how about we focus on one, right? What I was originally arguing for was you saying that there was some sort of passage of time here, but I think that's less important than the damn warlords argument. So if you want to just stick on that, and I'll provide a refute to this.
Wait, I just want to stay on one at a time. We can stay on like the point of whether or not like the statement's even a reference to him in general, and then we can get on the passage of time thing second. You found that?
Okay, yeah, sure. So I'm still gonna basically provide the same thing. None of the other warlords are shown to be active in this conversation aside from just Mihawk and Doflamingo. So Occam's razor would lead me to believe that this is in reference to Mihawk, and Mihawk makes a statement in response to what Doflamingo said. Does that make sense?
I don't think it's a response, nor do I think this is a
Okay.
conversation. You're just kind of going back on it. Well, just because he showed in screen means that the statement's a reference towards him. I don't see why.
I
Wait, okay, hold on. All right, I don't see how I'm making any assumptions. This thing, we're making him out of assumptions, right? He makes a statement looking left. There's a number of people looking left. Just because the camera's pointed on one doesn't mean that the statement has to be made for that one, right? I don't see how I'm multiplying more necessities or I'm making more assumptions in any way, shape, or form here.
okay. I feel like we could probably conclude here.
Okay, so I'll just summarize what I've gotten from basically both sides. So Hoodie stance would be obviously it's within context of power. Doffy saying no, it's not. Hoodie is saying that within context of the situation, we see a warlord look at Mihawk, make the statement, what you call it. Doflamingo saying that that doesn't necessarily have to mean that within this context, that it's necessarily within context of Mihawk, nor does it have to mean that Mihawk's responding to said warlord. Hoodie makes an argument from Malcolm's Razor, said that it's most likely the case that one, we don't see any warlords on panel. Two, Mihawk says this directly after. Doflamingo puts into question whether or not it happens right after. Gives an example of what you call instances or says an example in One Piece in which apparently like 2 days passed, despite the fact that it happens in the next panel.
Oh, I don't even
Yeah.
remember hearing that.
No, you asked him to prove it, and I'm looking scared to see if he's.
He
Wait,
did not.
wait, no, we didn't even get to that. We thought
No,
we
we
were
didn't. We agreed to like hold off on the time point. But if I win
Yeah,
this
yeah.
point, we
So,
don't even need to go on the time point.
going
right. Okay. So if you guys are simply concluding on the whole warlord and like a Mihawk situation, I don't think that Doflamingo really responded to what Hoodie was saying. Like y'all's stances weren't never exclusive. You were just trying to say that it's not necessarily the case that based off of Hoodie's reasoning that it reaches his conclusion or whatever the fuck. But you never disputed the probability that Hoodie was bringing up. That's why I said that's a simpler conclusion, i.e., Occam's razor.
I said just because the camera's pointing at him doesn't mean it has to be in reference to him, or doesn't even mean that it's more probable. He can still be talking on screen, and then wait, hold up, and then he never explains why because the camera's pointing at one character means that the statement has to be made to that one character.
That was never his claim. One and two, you never brought up the probability. You kept trying to argue claims from necessity, which is something that Hoodie never held a stance of.
I literally said, why doesn't it doesn't have to mean that it can just mean X, Y, and Z. I didn't say necessarily every instance.
Right,
And
that's not exclusive to Hoodie stance, right? He's not saying that.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying to help you because I'm saying that that's not Hoodie's claim. You're saying it doesn't have to be this. Hoodie doesn't disagree with that. Hoodie's literally agreeing with the fact that it doesn't have to be that. That's never his claim, though. His claim's in Occam's razor.
It doesn't attack what I just said, Midnight. Like, it's not what I
It
said.
does because you said that you put into question whether or not Hoodie's
That's
claim
not
leads to
all
the
I
conclusion
said.
which you made.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you're not listening. That's not all I said.
Okay, well, within context to that, do we both agree that that responds to what you just said?
No, that's not all I just said. Midnight. Like I'm saying that every single time I didn't say it doesn't necessarily. That's not. I didn't say that every single time. In other instances, I can show you in recording. I said no. It doesn't even have to mean that. It can just mean X, Y, and Z. It doesn't. I wasn't arguing necessarily. There's two different points within it. It was
You know what
necessarily.
have to means, Doffy? Do you know what have to means, Doffy?
Like necessarily fall about. I'm saying that. Oh my god.
Right.
I'm saying that it doesn't have. I can't honestly. So I said it doesn't have to necessarily follow, right? I'm saying I don't even see why this thing is more probable either. I'm saying them both. I'll show you in the recording.
I just pulled it up real quick. Maybe I didn't catch that. I was writing down and trying to monitor show.
Wait, I wasn't listening. What is he talking about?
Wait,
He said,
we can just do it. Wait,
said that he
hold up.
disputed the
We can do it
probability.
later so it can be one
Well,
report.
he disputed the probability by like saying, "Oh, he could be talking to other people."
Yeah, that's what I got. I didn't ever hear him
That's
actually
I
dispute the
don't think he
probability.
ever like.
But
I don't know how he would defeat the probability. They're the only two people on the panel.
Factoring that in,
And
Doffy,
I was
what you
saying
said about Hoodie never explaining why that's generally the case is just wrong. He brought up the fact that that's just not how language works or conversations work.
that was
He never responded to that.
to not be a separate point. We're talking about whether or not this statement would just be in reference to him, or like, yeah, whether or not the statement would just be in reference to him. That would just be a separate point. We're talking, and then we're using the context, and it would just be like a complete separate point. Whether or
Yeah,
not
you said it doesn't. You said specifically within context that you brought up a bunch of alternate possibilities and you put into question whether or not Hoodie's thing necessarily follows. And then after that, Hoodie brought up the fact that it's even more likely that Hoodie brought up the fact that it's even more likely that his context applies due to the fact that that's just not the way that language and dialect works. That's something that he specifically said.
2 separate points.
It was a direct
That
response.
is not a separate point.
It was a direct response to the main premise of the point, that being like whether or not the statement's within context of power or
I get
whether or
direct
not it's in
response
context
to
of
his
distance.
point, but we still acknowledge it was a different point. The whole time thing was a direct response to these things are made right after each other within the manga panel, but we distinguish those two things as 2 different points. So why are you saying that for my argument it's 2 separate points, but for his it's not?
No, you specifically. This was right after you brought up the fact that if Whitebeard is a threat from that distance, or directly after that point. So we're still on the point of whether or not. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, that's one of the first things
I
brought up.
know,
The time
and when
point.
I brought up
Hold
the
on,
time frame.
wait. The time point that you're talking about that has nothing to do with the language point. That language point was way before that, Doflamingo. I wrote that down 3 points before we even got to the language point.
No, I'm saying that would still be a direct response to his thing, but why? So when he makes a direct response to it, right? It's counted as the same argument, but when I make a direct response to it, even if it is later, it's distinguishing the 2 different points. We both made a direct response to the point. Like I don't.
No, I'm saying, okay, you tried to say that within context, that was within context of the time scenario.
We can just move on.
Hold on, chill.
I'm
You
saying I
said that
don't
this literally.
move on.
Wait,
I
would
don't
you
want you to
agree
think.
that you
I don't
lost the
want you to
point then?
think. I don't want you to think that I'm being biased. I'm
I'll
trying to.
have to watch over the recording, and then I'll like make a statement.
Well, I don't think. Does anybody remember him saying this?
We can go over
The time point was because, like, I literally know what he's.
But I don't even
literally
understand. Even if what you said
I know what
is
he's talking
true, I
about.
don't even think
The
it's a
timelines
refute.
don't match. He's trying to say that, like, remember when you guys both agreed to like leave a point on standby or whatever the fuck and get to it after?
Yeah.
He's bringing up that, but I'm saying that literal agreement that wasn't within context at this point. This point was way before like that agreement or whatever the fuck. And this point that y'all were talking about literally was within context of the thing that y'all talked about last. That being obviously the Whitebeard thing, the Whitebeard statement, like the whole like situation of that. The thing that y'all both agreed to postpone was like the whole time frame shit.
Yeah,
That's like a whole different point.
The point of there being a time frame between what Doffy said and Mihawk said. That was a point you brought up, and then we agreed later to.
Yeah, but this point of like the point that I'm talking about, where Hoodie makes the claim that that's not how like language works, so there's like extra reasoning to go against what Doflamingo's saying. That point was within context of Doflamingo's interpretation. Initially, this was like one of the first things he said. It's one of the first things I wrote down. Period. Doflamingo's interpretation, that being that yes, Whitebeard is measuring. Mihawk is measuring the actual distance between him and Whitebeard.
Said we can. Okay, can we move on? That's like you
All right,
gave
go ahead,
it.
bro. Because I don't want to hear any bias. Like, okay.
All right, yeah. So the statement. The statement was in reference to him. I think there's like a time frame disparity, and we see consistently.
Well, okay. Why does this even matter?
Okay, bro. I'm not finished the argument. Like not gonna mute the nigga, bro. All right. I think there's like a time frame disparity between the 2 statements being made. We see consistently throughout Marineford. There tends to be a time frame when, like, from panel to panel, like it's not just like right after the other every single time. I'll show you instances for that.
Wait, okay, but I'm super confused. If we agree that Mihawk is talking about the distance of strength between Whitebeard and him, what the fuck is this? I thought that was what the last point was just about.
No, the last point was about whether or not the statement, Doflamingo's statement, was towards Mihawk or not.
Yeah, but part of my original argument was that, but I was using that context of him talking to Doflamingo to further provide evidence for why he'd be referencing strength.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, right, you got that part. So, or yet Midnight gave his opinion.
Well, hold on, Midnight.
Oh my god! Oh my fucking god! Can y'all not?
I'm gonna simplify this. Midnight, were you not?
Bro, oh my god! What the fuck? Why is he not mute? These nigga just spams interrupt me.
Bro, I don't know if you understand how hard it is for me to mute people with this new Discord update, bro. It's just not. That's why I like verbally.
But I don't even understand. I'm just asking to end the conversation because I'm confused.
Because he's not getting muted.
All right, somebody on Sonic here.
What the fuck is he gonna moderate?
Yeah,
I'm asking Midnight a question. What are we moderating?
Yeah, can you moderate?
What are you moderating?
Yeah,
Midnight,
sure.
can you answer the question?
I need Cole and the perms though.
Yeah,
I'll just answer. Okay, so the point that I concluded on last, or at least the point that I thought you guys both agreed to conclude on, was whether or not what you call this statement applies to Whitebeard or whether or not it's within context and distance.
Okay, that's what I thought. So
we did
all right.
on 3 of the sub.
Am I wrong or
No, that's what I thought we were concluding.
Wait, no, we literally just talked about whether or not the Doflamingo statement was in reference that we weren't concluding on the whole point entirely.
In reference to the Whitebeard thing?
No, we are just talking about the statement.
wait, did
Is
you conclude on the subject
are y'all
too?
actually gonna fight?
Okay,
right?
okay.
Oh
Let me spell it out for you, Doffy. My
Okay.
argument,
I
the
just can't
entire
fucking talk. Okay,
I
bro.
think Dofi's trying to say that he specifically only wanted to conclude on the sub point, not the overarching thing.
I mean, yeah, I just can't talk. He keeps interrupting me and he doesn't get muted.
All right, Hoodie. All right, Hoodie. All right, guys. Okay, we're gonna have a clear cut, dry debate. All right, both parties are gonna be able to state their arguments one at a time, and no interruptions are gonna be on my watch. All right, guys.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Like,
so
like I was trying to say, hold on, stop.
they shut their fucking black
Dofi,
ass
were
up.
you only trying to conclude on the sub point and not the overarching thing?
Yes, I don't. Yes, that's why we would leave.
yeah, but
those
if I
other
won the
things
sub point, wouldn't
off.
my entire argument go through?
No, what?
Okay, so what?
The sub
So now
point
I'm
was
just confused. So what sub point are we supposed to be
yeah. What are we
concluding on?
continuing off of?
And whether
the,
are you trying to say that
the
we're
sub
concluding
point
on whether or
was
not the statement was within context to
me.
but whether or not the warlord was talking to Mihawk?
Yeah,
Okay, I mean, I don't know what that would change, but cool.
Yeah.
yeah. So. Yeah, all this means is that when he says, "So you're really gonna fight him," is in reference to Mihawk. I mean, I just think there's
Mihawk going to the. I'm sorry.
I just think there's like a time frame disparity between the two, and it's consistently shown that there is, or like within One Piece and John Anderson, especially Marineford, that people can like they go from the future to the past pretty quickly.
So, are you saying this is a claim that happened in the past? What the? Wouldn't this just be case by case?
Wait, hold up. Can I get the evidence and then we can go into that?
Well, I mean, sure, you could post the fucking time skip happening in the same panel. It'd still be case by case. I'm confused what you're getting evidence for. I'm confused about the entire fucking point here. What are you arguing?
All right. So I'm saying that when he says that, or yeah, like there's a time frame disparity in between each. So again, even Mihawk's action doesn't have to be in direct correspondence to Doflamingo's statement.
So you're aware that'd be like a massive burden, right?
Hold up. I think this is fun.
Actually, I don't even know how you go about proving that.
All right. And then.
Is Minecraft still booming or is that game dead?
No, people still be on that shit.
I might re-download that bitch.
Is this the evidence, or is there something else?
No, there's something else. All right. And then hold up, that's like. All right.
Is this it?
All right. Yeah, that's it.
All right. What's
All right. Yeah. So I'm saying consistently, it's shown that when statement, or yeah, that just panels in One Piece can just vary in time frame drastically, and they can do it from panel to panel. Right, giving me the inductively strong argument.
okay? So, like I said, this is just like a case by case thing. This wouldn't apply to every fucking panel in One Piece. To expand on that, you would have to prove why it would apply to this specific scenario in One Piece.
Well, I'm saying that it's probable, and that's why I'm giving an induction. So, wait, stop. All right, okay. So, if I show an instance, right, where it's like 60% of the time, this is likely, right? We have some unknown instance. It's very likely that it would be that 60%, right? So, if 70% of the fights Whitebeard wins, right? And we have this unknown fight where we don't know the outcome, and Whitebeard's in. It'll be very likely that Whitebeard will win it, right? That's the most likely, or that's the most probable thing we have.
Okay. So, can you restate that? I'm a little lost.
Okay. I'm giving an induction on all panels. I'm showing a consistency within One Piece for why this thing is the case, right? So you pointing out, well, no, you have to prove it have to be exactly in this instance. I'm not saying it has to be in this instance definitively. I'm saying it probabilistically is the case.
Okay, well, you haven't provided a probabilistic assumption here. You've just
Yeah.
provided other panels of One Piece showing that there can be different time periods within them, but those are very obviously different time periods here. There's no indication of there being a different time period in the scan we're arguing about.
Well, can you prove that in every one? It's clearly a different, or there's clearly an indication of it clearly being a different time period. Because I think like the Odin instance.
Well, one
Wait,
context.
okay, mute him. I was in the
What
middle of
the
fucking
fuck?
talking to the nigga. I was in the middle of fucking talking to
Alright,
him.
alright, okay.
Yeah. So
Bruh,
in the
Look,
Odin
if he calls
instance,
him out for like cutting off, dog. If he calls him out for cutting off and Hoodie stops talking, there's no need to like mute and vice versa. Like that's retarded.
I was under the
He cuts him
impression he just
off.
asked me a question.
If he cuts him off and then Doffy tells him to stop, Hoodie keeps going, then mute him. Like
He
Okay.
did
be
just ask me a
weird.
question, though, so I don't know why I muted.
no, because when I tell him to stop before, he'll keep interrupting me. He did it like 2 other times. I'll be like, "Yo, don't
Alright,
interrupt
just
me," and
continue, just go, just
then
continue,
he'll
just
keep
continue.
interrupting me.
Just
Yeah,
continue.
but I think in the Odin instance, I don't think there's really any huge indication or any indication at all that it's like a different time period without them telling it, without them telling us. I don't think they have to tell us every time either.
Okay, then you would still need a reason to suspect that there is a time skip between these panels. And can you point out where there's a time skip in any of the panels you posted? I don't in the Ace one. I don't see it. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about with that one. Maybe the Laugh Tale one. I can maybe read through it. I think it's like showing different phases of his life while giving a commentary. I guess. Shit, I don't know. I haven't read that far into One Piece. And then with the Odin one, I mean, this is just one panel. I don't know how the fuck this could be multiple time periods in the same page. I'm completely lost here. I don't even think the arguments you're presenting show what the fuck you're showing.
Okay. So the part in the Ace one, this is when Whitebeard's talking to who is it? I believe he's talking to Shanks in this instance, and he's giving a recollection of like what happened to fucking White, or what Blackbeard did to Thatcher, right? That's what's happening, right? So this is literally an instance of them in the panel going back in time, right? And there's really no clear indication of it, right? Um, and so I'm saying, since that thing is consistent within One Piece, or I've shown that thing to be consistent in One Piece, we can apply that same principle onto the scan right here. And the why the scan would apply to it is because there's a cut in between, right? The same way how there is in the Whitebeard instance, right? So since there is a cut in both, right, it would be probable for us to assume that the thing would be the case.
Can I respond?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so I mean, I'd agree that there is a. I don't think Doflamingo stating what he said happened in the same instance, the same fucking second in time that Mihawk responded. Of course, I think there's a passage of time. I just don't think there's a substantial passage of time. Is that crazy? What are you saying with this argument though? Because what the fuck does the passage of time between him saying this and Doflamingo saying this have to do with him saying that Whitebeard is above him in terms of comparison? What the fuck? What does this have to do with anything? Midnight, do you have any idea what this has to do with fucking anything? Hell, even Sonic, do you know what the fuck we're even doing?
Actually supposed to
I
answer
am
that?
not
Or...
listening, bro.
Yes,
I'm
no,
not
please
listening,
answer this.
bro.
What the fuck is the point of this argument?
Okay, so from my understanding, you guys concluded on like whether or not the Doflamingo statement was within context or relation to Mihawk or directed to Mihawk.
Yeah,
and I
then
think the
Mihawk
route that
responded to him.
Doflamingo is trying to take is that since we see in One Piece that there's a bunch of instances in which there's large amounts of time, even if it's within context to panel by panel, that we can't determine whether or not Mihawk's statement happens directly after the Doflamingo statement. So we
But
can't say
wasn't the
that Mihawk
entire
has responded to Doffy. Is
okay?
that what you're
But
trying to say,
wasn't the
Doflamingo?
entire
Because that's what I'm getting from your argument.
what'd you say?
I'm trying to make sure I got Doflamingo's argument right
I
because
mean,
I'm struggling. So Doffy,
he
is that like a good summarization of your argument?
Well, I was not really paying attention. I'm on Bahala right now.
So the gist of the argument that I'm getting is you're making the claim or argument that since we see in One Piece there's multiple instances in which there's large time variables, despite the fact that it's like panel by panel or within the same panel, even in some instances, I think.
yeah.
But specifically more so the first one, that we can't say whether or not Mihawk's statement, or even if we know that Doflamingo's statement is directed towards Mihawk, we can't say
We don't
whether or
know
not this
if the
response
action
is directly
is
after.
Yeah, we don't know if
Go.
the action is the direct correspondence to the Doflamingo statement, right? And
I was under the impression that was the sub point that we concluded on.
No, the sub point that Doflamingo wanted to conclude on was whether or not Doflamingo's statement was directed towards Mihawk.
Okay.
So apparently that's now the mutual ground that you guys
Okay.
have.
All right. So then I'm gonna say like one or
that,
two more things here, and then I'm gonna we can probably conclude on this point because I think this point is genuinely fucking ridiculous. Okay. So just for starters, none of the panels you've posted really show distinctly there being a time skip. Still, you didn't even really prove that.
Because you just made the claim, like you just got to talk with them, and then you like rambled to Midnight and Sonic. Can I address what you previously said, or are we gonna?
What did I previously say? What are we talking about?
Oh yeah, you were like, I just think it's like a small variable of time and not a large.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I think that's like how a normal conversation was. Like how you just said that, and how I'm responding is likely how Mihawk and Doffy just had that conversation. It was not like a very long period of time.
I would disagree. Okay, so in the instances that I've shown, the induction that I've given, it's always a large like amount of time. It's a large enough amount of time for Ace to get his ship together, get his materials ready, and just leave. While most people know about it on 1,000-man crew, so we know it would be a large gap of time. So that would just be inductively the strongest argument.
Well, where is this shown in the panels you posted? It doesn't show him getting on a ship and going away.
That's what he does to go after Blackbeard. I mean, I'm gonna show him like looking for Blackbeard.
Yeah, but that's not happening in the same fucking panel. What the fuck is the point? You are so retarded. It's making me mad. Okay. They don't show that in the fucking panel. Why the fuck would it have to do with anything we're talking about? Why? Why the fuck? And none of the other shit you posted has anything in the same panel that's showing a time skip. It shows Garp's reaction to Ace while talking to, I believe, Sengoku, or Sengoku's talking to him, vice versa. It doesn't matter. And then it shows them continuing talking. I don't even see how this is showing a time skip either. The one you posted where Garp is holding Luffy is very obviously all within the same time frame because it shows him in the back holding Luffy, and then it shows a close up in the second panel, and then it shows their conversation in the third and fourth panel with Luffy and Garp. And then the Odin one is literally just a one panel spread. There's not even like a separation of panels here, so there's no fucking time skip there. And then the the Roger one, I don't. It seems like it's just a biography of his life, which would be extremely contextual and not applicable to the current fucking, I don't even know, Mihawk and Doflamingo conversation. So I would think it's likely to assume that the time frame in which Mihawk provides a response to Doflamingo is in a very shortly manner, like a normal conversation would flow.
So I don't see how it being like a biography or whatever you said would draw a distinguishment between that and every other panel. I don't really see why that would make it different from any other panel. And then the Garp instance below, the Garp instance below, again, that just shows,
We're about to conclude.
Literally it's a different, I'd never agree to that. It's literally a difference in age between them, right? Like in the panel before then, it's just actually not just on the panel beforehand. It's like Garp punching the shit out, or Luffy punching the shit out of Garp, and then it says 10 years before that, and then it's explaining it all then. And then the reason why I brought up Ace leaving the ship is because it's a large amount of time between present day when Whitebeard's making the statement and when Whitebeard went back to think about what happened or whatever, right? And we know it's a large period of time. We know it's been multiple days because it took because it should take him a decent bit of time from the even find Blackbeard to get his shit together to find Blackbeard, right? Unless you think he just found him immediately, but we know that's not the case because of the Alabasta incident. And then the Odin instance. Well, I'll just provide more context for like the Odin instance.
Can you talk a little faster? Like, why do you talk like that? You talk like you're fucking. You talk like a grandpa walking. It's so strange. Jesus fucking Christ. Also, a lot of this was just like a straight up straw man. My argument was never that like, oh, the time period. I'm saying that none of what you're saying is shown in the panels themselves. We don't even see Ace getting his shit together. That's not in the panel you show. And I genuinely, I don't think I have anything else to say. We can conclude after what you get, whatever you fucking get. Because I don't think your argument holds anything here. I think your argument is genuine fucking null.
Argue on the modality of like one panel, so it's easier for me to judge.
What'd you say?
I don't think they're doing. I think they're just giving your interpretations for the scans and not actually arguing on which one's like.
Well, I'm saying that none of these scans. One, I've already argued, and he barely even placed. He placed like he played like a probabilistic claim on there being a time skip in between the periods, and I've already said that this would be a case by case basis, and there's no reasoning to support it being a probabilistic thing. Actually, there's reasoning to say the opposite because they're in the middle of a fucking conversation. Why would there be a long-winded time period between the response to what was already said and then the statement afterwards? That doesn't make any fucking sense. That's why I think this whole point is just stupid. This is just dumb and time wasting. So that's why whatever he posts, I don't even really give a shit what he posts. We can just conclude after it. Because my main argument is that this is just like a fucking case by case basis.
All right, wait, hold it. Here it is. So let me just resend this.
What do you mean resend this? You never sent this.
Shit. Ignore like the Lucci panel, whatever. So the first panel that just shows you all the shit Ace went through to find Blackbeard. It's a part of the cover story or whatever. And then this is Whitebeard mid-sentence, by the way, right? Just going back to before Ace even left, and we know all these events transpired beforehand. So multiple days have passed, right? And Whitebeard just in mid-conversation just goes back to this. And again, I don't see why it would be a case-by-case basis. You're just making a baseless claim here. I don't see even how just because it's like a monologue or whatever the phrase you use in the Roger instance means that it will be different from every other panel. I don't see the real difference you're drawing. It seems like it should be the same as every other panel. And then the Odin instance, I'll just explain the context for the Odin instance. It's what is it? Oh no, it's Momo talking about the Odin instance. Mid convo, he goes and then she's showing how he's seen his father and all his father did for him and how his father fought Kaido, right? So that's the explanation for the Odin panel and the Whitebeard panel. I'm just showing how mid combo they can just go from like days in the past or whatever.
All right, I don't. I'm completely fine to conclude.
All right, sure, we can conclude.
All right, so just to restate my argument because that was a lot. There's a lot of fucking bullshit there. I really don't even know how the fucking side panels he posted. It's very obviously a case by case basis. And the argument that there is a probabilistic claim to make the statement of there being a passage of time, like a notable passage of time between what Mihawk said and Doflamingo said, is completely unprobable because one, that's not really how conversations work. You don't just take long-winded periods of times in between sentences for it to fucking matter when you're talking to somebody. So there's no probability there. And he provided obviously like instances of a possible time skip happening between the panels. I don't even think he showed that well. He fucking barely showed that, if anything. I don't even think he proved it. He definitely didn't show it in the Ace thing. He barely showed it in the Roger thing. And then the Odin thing just only was one panel, so it was literally impossible for there to be a fucking time skip there. And so because there is no probability of there being a passage of time between what Mihawk says and what Doflamingo says, my argument would go through.
So I gave an induction on how niggas can just be mid-statement and then they can just go on a drastic time skip, or they can just like events can happen just right, like days in the past or even years in the past in some instances. I gave the instance of the ace example where I sent the ace cover panel, right? And that just shows all what Ace has been through to find Blackbeard. That's why it's great. Ace is great Blackbeard search. So he goes through all this to find Blackbeard, and then Whitebeard's made convo with Shanks, and he just monologues to even before all those events happen. So that's one thing that would strengthen my induction, and he doesn't really respond to that. Only thing he responded to is I don't see why that would Oh yeah, he said, "Hey, it doesn't even show that in the panels," but I explained it to him, and I sent the panels to support it. And in the Odin instance, he had no problem with me explaining the context behind it. The Odin instance about how, again, in the Momo instance, or yeah, Momo was talking, and then he just goes like 20 years in the past or whatever, and then we see Odin versus Kaido, and then in the Roger instance, he tries to draw some distinguishment to discern the destruction or the induction or whatever. And then I just question why would this be different from any other panel? This just seems like it'll be similar to any other panel. And in this panel, there's a large passage time from panel to panel. And um, I don't like even if the garb thing doesn't go through, it's still a induction. And even if it is weak, or even if it does,
He gets the end of it.
it would still just be the more probable outcome than compared to his.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Alright, I'm not gonna lie to y'all boys, bro. This point was fucking everywhere, bro. Like, I'm probably gonna have to watch a rec where I could ask y'all niggas questions because, like, I can't give an on-spot judgment.
Do you really think you need to do that though, Midnight? Let's just think about this. Just think about his argument, and then think about what the claim is here. That there is a large passage of time.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I get certain some points that he was making, but like, I just don't like the format of how y'all niggas decided to go about the conversation. I think
I know it's fucking annoying.
specifically within the Ace and Blackbeard scenario, his argument definitely works.
Well,
he definitely
Midnight.
responded to that
My
side.
argument was never really built around the idea that like.
Yeah, I know.
I don't disagree with the
He
instances. Let's just say that I don't care about
to
them.
that. Yeah, he definitely responded to that one specifically. The only ones that would really matter right now is one, the Ace and Blackbeard thing, since that seems to be like a conversation or whatever the fuck. I didn't really hear much on the Odin shit, so I can't speak on that unless Doffy wants to re-say
The
it
Odin
or
shit was posted
recording.
an image of a singular panel.
Yeah,
It
but
was literally
Doffy
impossible for there to have been a time.
Doffy explained something.
No, but I
Was the explanation of the Odin thing?
Yeah, it's not
Explanation.
programmed.
Wait, no, you never asked for empirical. You never asked like a physical scan or anything. But I explained it. You never had any problems with my explanation of it. And even if everything
I
else
don't think
goes
the
through,
explanation matters in the first place.
stop. All right. Even if everything else fails, he doesn't attack how I explain it, and I would still just give me a induction, so it would still be more probable than his outcome.
Yeah. I mean, Midnight, my entire argument just, I don't really give a fuck about the examples.
Really matters at this point is like the Ace Blackbeard
No,
scenario.
I don't
or
even
whatever
think
the
that
fuck.
matters.
What?
I mean, it's within context of a singular conversation.
Yeah, but I was saying that you would have to prove it in a case by case basis.
And then
that's why I said the only thing that I think really is like relevant to the topic of like Mihawk and Doflamingo or whatever the fuck.
Wait, hold on. No, he didn't really address the question because he said it would be a case by case, and I asked him why would it be, and he doesn't respond to that.
I already gave the answer to that.
When did you ever respond to why it would be a case?
It's basically in my initial premise. The fact that they are probably talking in a short span of each other because they're having a conversation.
Okay,
that's how
yeah.
conversations work.
Okay, yeah, and then the way I explained the Odin instance is Momo's literally talking, and then he's like telling, and then he goes back to events that happened 20 years ago. So that doesn't attack what I'm saying. And even the Ace instance, it's literally Whitebeard having
that'd be a
convo.
burden.
Okay, but mute him. It's literally Whitebeard having a convo with Shanks, and then him going 20 years into the future, or not 20 years, like weeks into the future or whatever, or into the past. My mistake. And then us seeing a panel from 20 years into the past.
I mean,
that's just a added claim.
Like y'all claims weren't ever exclusive. Okay, so Doffy, are you arguing from probability or are you arguing from possibility? Are you just saying that Hoodie's interpretation is fallible?
I'm arguing for probability.
I'm gonna just rewatch track. I mean, I don't want to give official judgment because again, I feel like I didn't hear a lot of Doffy's points. I feel like that'd be unfair to Doffy, but from what it sounds like, I don't really understand how like this really works. But I'll rewatch track. So I mean, yeah, up to y'all on that budget.
I don't
just
really
for,
give a shit. I'm like,
for like the
I
sake
think it
of
was like
things,
pretty obvious I won. Like
he's-
very obvious. I don't even understand how
Is
there's
this,
like a
is this
question
the
here.
debate, or is the debate getting postponed for now?
I don't
Well,
fucking know what's going on.
Sonic, let's hear. What the fuck do you think, bro? Were you listening?
No, fuck. I didn't listen at all.
I don't blame you.
Was
Shit
anybody
a
was
yes
anybody here
section.
listening? Because I'm like, if anybody here was listening, mic up, bro.
I think Ricardo's been here the whole time, but I don't know if he wants to
I don't know
fucking
if he was
talk.
listening. Ricardo, are you listening? Okay, he's
I'm not judging this.
I'm not telling you to judge. I'm just asking you a question. I'm mute. Keeping weird. Okay, bro. You got it, Ricardo.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that was about.
I was not about
I'm
to
in a different DC. Goddamn.
Oh, okay.
I know they're not throwing that
Bro.
much to BC, bro.
So, Ricardo, are you listening or no?
No.
Okay. Well, never mind.
Easy answer.
That was the easy answer.
Yeah.
I was here at the whole time, but I was
Were
not
you
listening.
actually listening or no? Like,
No, I was not too.
brother, my even okay. You know what? So the Flamingo, my misunderstanding. So you're trying to argue that within context of these scans or whatever the fuck, that these are instances in which large amounts of time have passed within very small amount of scans. So this lends credence to the fact that it's probabilistically the case that within context of Mihawk and the Flamingo's conversation that
Alright.
it would equally apply.
Then can I say something here?
he just asked me a question like how okay.
Yeah,
I know, but
yeah.
what I'm about to ask you is just gonna explain the whole thing.
I mean, I just want to make sure I'm understanding the Flamingo's point. What, Doffy?
Oh, no way. This is playing rookie
Yeah,
now.
I mean, I'm just giving an induction for mid sentence. Niggas can go back and like we can just see like a panel from like 20 years or a few weeks in the past, right? And I was just giving it instance, you know what I mean? And
That's not an application of probability
Yeah, I mean, I was because he specifically asked you like,
for the
how does
instance.
like sending like a couple of scans of it being the case give it probability for like the entirety of One Piece? Like, did you ever
because
respond to that?
well, yeah, because it's like
But for the
consistency.
debate, he did not.
Wait, okay, stop.
My bad. I
Because
was
it's like
answering the question for you.
like what?
Go ahead,
Okay.
Flamingo.
Yeah, no, because it's a consistency, right? So even if it's a weak consistency of like even like one or two, it's still more consistent than what he presented, which was nothing, right? He doesn't present anything. Well, I do present something. Therefore, yeah, I do present something. I do present something that has a pattern, right? Therefore, mine's more probable than his.
Did he not? Maybe I'm just misremembering. Did he not bring up the fact that like the way that conversations normally work is that it's within
I
like a
did.
reasonable amount of okay. Well, how'd you respond to that?
He didn't.
Wait, hold up. What? Wait, say that again.
Did he not bring up the fact that usually within context of like normal conversation that usually responses are made in a reasonable amount of time that they're like 20 years after, like, hey Bob, 20 years after they'll respond.
Well, yeah, no, but I'm saying like yeah, in a general sense that can be true for like other works of fiction. But I'm saying One Piece would be clearly different from that, and I gave instances on why it would be clearly different from that. And I thought we were. I mean, yeah, I mean, clearly I would just be different. That's pretty much it.
And your proof was something like 6 scans.
Yeah.
Nice. Good argument, Doffy.
I'm so confused. Okay, wait, Hoodie. So, Hoodie, did you not? I'm so okay, wait. So, okay. So, from what I got, you sent that. So, Hoodie didn't really hard press on the thing that I said. The thing that it really sounded like was being hard pressed on was Hoodie was arguing the interpretations on like whether or not these scans lead to the conclusion. So within context of the interpretation points, I think that you won most of them or whatever, because I don't really think Hoodie responded to a lot of them.
No, I didn't really give a fuck about him.
Yeah, no, I said that I think you won.
I'll agree to that. I didn't give a shit about much of those arguments.
Yeah, I said definitely. I think that you won most of the interpretation points because I don't think that you responded to a lot of them. But
I didn't take care about him.
within context to a bunch, I'm so confused because Hoodie's point was obviously within context to the Mihawk and what's his name situation that would be specifically talking about conversations, right? That's the only thing that would really matter. So when you send scans of like Ace, that has nothing to do with the conversation.
Why is
Specifically talking about Ace's Great Blackbeard search, or specifically talking about scans like that. It doesn't really apply to the scenario. That's why I said it's contextual.
Well, one, I asked him why would it be contextual, and I don't think he really responded to that. But again, this is contextual because this is Whitebeard talking to Shanks, right? So it's two people having a conversation, right? Then randomly mid convo, he goes back to weeks in the past. You don't think that means
I'm
anything?
not talking about that skin. I'm saying Ace's Great Blackbeard search.
Yeah, that's showing the time passage.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying that the way that he dismissed scans akin to that one was by bringing up the context of the Mihawk and Doflamingo situation and making a distinction between that and the scan of Ace's Great Blackbeard search. That's why I said that the
There's
only
no time to
that's
be
why I
shown
said
in
that the only
between.
scans that I think really matter off of that metric is the scan that you were just talking about with Whitebeard and Shanks. What other ones? Let me go through. That
Well, I mean,
one.
I just don't think he attacked the Odin instance.
He didn't attack your interpretation, but I don't
I never
really
needed
think that.
to.
I
Yeah, I
don't
don't really think that you attacked it being a non sequitur.
Well, no, because the Odin instance, the way I explained it, it's just him talking and then him going 20 years into the past, right, with no clear distinction.
The fact that you just didn't send any scans nor evidence for like
Well,
the
no,
other
but he never
basically
asked,
talking about.
right? He never asked for more
He
clarification
did.
on the Odin.
He said multiple times that you just don't have any evidence for that interpretation. That's a singular
No, that
panel.
was
Can we
literally
make
the
this
last
easier and just
thing.
put it like a VC poll?
After I gave my interpretation of the Odin thing, we went to conclusions. No statement was made after that. After that was just conclusions. There's no way he could have asked for more clarification. Like
Doffy, you know how many times you guys went across? You guys went so circular. That point was talked about like 4 to 5 times in the conversation. That's why I went to conclusions because of the fact that it was getting circular.
oh my, okay. So I explain the context of it. He asked for proof earlier, right? I send one panel, right? I say I thought it was like enough before, right? Then later on,
Wait,
right?
what's it?
Okay,
I'm
bro.
asking you because I don't understand what the fuck you're talking about. You said you sent proof of it earlier. I'm asking what's it? What's that word supposed to represent in this scenario?
The one Odin scan. The one
Okay,
Odin
so you
scan.
send the one. So you send the one Odin scan. Okay, keep going.
Okay. So I send the one Odin scan, right? And then, right, he's saying this doesn't really prove anything to me, right? He keeps saying it doesn't really prove anything, right? So I'm saying, okay, the very last thing I said before conclusions, I explained the context of the Odin thing. Then we go to conclusions. He does not contend the context I've explained. He doesn't ask for proof on it. He doesn't ask for that's true. Any
I'm
of the
saying
things.
he did. That's the
Okay,
problem.
you can go in recording, and where does he question the context that I explained of the Odin situation?
Dofi, are you okay? Dofi, did
I
you not
literally
hear him
asked.
say?
It was not in that.
Wait, stop
Yeah,
that.
this is
Did
never
you
there.
not hear him say multiple times that everything that you said in the interpretation is not there? It's only one
That
singular
was
panel, and that
beforehand. That was
panel.
beforehand.
Okay, Dofi, but my whole point is that the reason why y'all went to conclusions was because of the fact that it was getting circular, right? So obviously, I take that into consideration because I'm going under the assumption that that's the same point.
Okay, you're not really understanding what I'm saying.
Okay, are you trying to say
You're
to make sure
hard
I'm
to
not
understand individual.
to make sure I'm not okay? Are you trying to say that you said your interpretation directly before you went to conclusions? So there's no way that Hoodie would have been able to respond to the point.
Let's say it again.
You're saying that you said your point right before you guys went to conclusions. So there's no way that Hoodie would have been able to respond to the point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm saying that that same point that you stated before you guys went to conclusions was what you call addressed multiple times because of the fact that this point was already went over, right? That point was
No,
over redundant. That point was getting circular. That's why you guys went to conclusion.
no, no, because I never explained the scan the way I did beforehand.
Did you
I
explain it in a
said that.
different way, or did you just like not explain it at first and then you explained it?
No, I just didn't explain it after. Well, no, I gave like a really like shitty explanation, and then well, okay, so it's kind of weird, right? So at first I just say, well, yeah, we see Odin in the past, and he said, well, it doesn't really prove anything. And then later on, I like right before we went to conclusions, I fully explain it, and he doesn't really address that. And I wasn't saying that was in the scan. I'm saying that was the context leading up to
Maharaga-chan,
the
save
scan.
me!
So I was like beforehand of the scan, and he never asked for proof of that.
Okay, but okay, if you said that you explained it first, but your explanation was inferior to the one that you said directly after, then the same like
No, because
applies, right?
because one's explaining the scan itself, when in the second one is explaining what is around the scan.
Okay, but the whole
You
point for
never
why you were
questioned
supposed
what
to
was
be
around
the
the
whole
scan.
point
You
for why you
questioned
were
the scan
supposed to be
itself.
explaining these scans was because you were explaining why there was like a major time gap between point A and point B within the context of manga panels that are similarly like close together. So if Hoodie's initial response to that point was, okay, but this is only one scan, so I don't understand how you're trying to say that there's major time intervals. This isn't sufficient evidence to prove your claim. And then after that, you explain the evidence, right? Or rather, you explain evidence that's external to the thing that you sent in chat. Does the same defeater not apply?
So you're okay. So you're trying to say that like if I make the claim earlier, right? Or yeah, like if I make the claim, fucking Disguise Blue, he questions that, and then later on, I give like a better explanation upon the evidence. Would his same defeater still not stand or something?
No, it's if we're gonna talk about the sky's blue thing, it would more so be like you make the claim that the sky is blue, and then you
Okay.
specifically list like I don't know like X site, but you send like a crop screenshot, right? And then Hoodie's like, well, I mean, maybe that's true, but none of that's inside of the crop screenshot that you sent. So I don't understand why you're coming to this conclusion. And then after that, your response to that is giving or elaborating on the evidence or information that's outside of the crop screenshot. Hoodie's initial statement, that being you only sent a crop screenshot, therefore this evidence isn't sufficient, would still apply. That's just you explaining something, but you're not actually directly responding to him telling you to send more evidence or
What is
whatever.
that? I don't think that would really address it, but I mean, I don't think that would really properly address it, and the way you explained it, I really just don't see how that would even be the same as what happened in the debate, because he was. I understand a little bit what you're trying to draw. You're trying to say, well, no, it's what around it is what matters. But he was saying, so what is within it right now does not help you reach your conclusion. And I'm saying, well, okay, so I explained what happens outside of it, which he never questioned. He was just questioning what was inside of it, and how what was inside of it doesn't lead to the conclusion.
Yeah, he's saying that you never sent any evidence to support your conclusion. That was his initial thing. And again, I was like, great, you just never sent any evidence to support it after.
Can we end this? Can you just give your
No,
judgment, bro? I don't know why we're fucking still doing this shit.
Well, I already said I'm gonna watch the recording. I'm just trying to understand better what
Alright.
Doffy's saying. Like,
I don't even think. What the fuck do you need to watch the recording for, bro?
I mean, I'm
Let's be
so
real.
okay. So, Hoodie, am I wrong on whether did you or not question whether or not Doflamingo sent like sufficient
Yes, I
evidence to support
questioned
his
all
point?
the scans.
Okay, but I'm talking about specifically within context of Odin. Was your response to that not the fact that it's
Yes.
just a singular panel, therefore he doesn't
Yes,
have enough
the
evidence?
panel. Yes, it's one panel. There was literally no way for there to have been a time skip.
Okay, so yeah, I don't really think even if what Dopey's saying is true, that my judgment's really going to change. At least specifically on the Odin scan.
I don't. Okay, I don't really see how he gets around the ace versus or the shanks and like Whitebeard instance. Like, how does he get around that?
I think that you won that
I
specific
don't.
interpretation.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about that
But
Okay,
one instance.
wait.
I think
Okay,
that you
so
won the
then
specific interpretation, but then I would
I
just
was
say
drawing my
that
induction off of that.
no, your the conclusion that you were drawing was off of a plethora of evidence, not a
Wait,
singular
no,
defeater.
no. All I have to do is as long as one of them gets through, it still stand. That's fine.
It wouldn't be probabilistic then. It would just be one
It would
instance.
be. Wait, no, yeah, no, that's still an induction, right? It may be a weak induction, but it's still an induction. It's still more probable than the outcome he's proposing. Even if
The
it's just
outcome I'm
one.
proposing was already
Wait,
supported.
hold up, stop. Like, why the fuck you not being this nigga? Okay, so even if it's just
I'm
like
tired
one.
of like waiting for you. You're talking about
Oh my
fucking
god.
nonsense. Of course, I'm
Oh
gonna get
my
annoyed and
god.
start talking.
Why is there no moderation? There's no
Because
fucking.
what you're saying
I
is
mean,
fucking
Sonic is
retarded.
supposed to
No.
fucking nod, bro. I don't. It's your boy. I don't know what you want me to say.
That ass. I don't
Sonic,
fucking
are you
know.
there still, bro? Nigga, Sonic's AFK, bro. I'm not even near my fucking phone, bro. So I don't know.
I just
Sonic,
kind of want to
hello.
leave. This is annoying. I don't even know why this is annoying.
Okay, hold on. So, are you trying to say that if you win one point, that pretty much what you're trying to get at is that you supplemented more evidence that Hoodie was able to present, therefore that your point within context of the specific debate would be more probable?
Wait, say it again.
You're trying to say that you have one piece of evidence, that being the A scan that went through or whatever the fuck, because they never responded to it. Hoodie didn't send any evidence at all, therefore yours would be more probable, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but don't you understand that your whole point was contingent upon a plethora of things? So that's not even like within your argument.
Wait. I would just. I don't think it was really contingent upon it. Because I think as long as. Wait. Okay. Hold on. I want to make sure I
Like
understand.
you guys can argue that sub point after, right? Like you can argue whether or not you winning that
No, we're
point
not.
until the probability, right? Because that's a whole different point. I'm saying like within context to the specific point that you guys argued, that's not like included within that argument.
No, well, no. I
See
think
ya.
it would. Wait. No, I think it would be. That's why I brought up how as long as one of these goes through, right? That's why I was bringing up how as long as one of these goes through, I would just win the point entirely. Why I brought up the point about it being an induction. Even if it's a weak consistency, it's still a consistency no matter the less. And he doesn't attack that whatsoever.
Is Hoodie even Hoodie? Are you even here?
Yeah,
I said that
I'm like
word for
barely listening.
Oh.
I said that like
I
word
didn't
for
need to
word.
act. I never needed to
Oh my God.
attack the consistency because my main point was that it was case by case. Yeah, I was mainly asking
And
you
then
to
I
provide
and
it.
I asked you why.
I was mainly asking you to provide an explanation as to why it applies to the statement between Mihawk and Doflamingo. There's no way this is this complicated.
I mean,
Like,
Doflamingo, if
I
you
don't
drop
think no matter
if
how
you
you look at
drop
this
literally
is
like
just
every other scan, wouldn't that literally go against your argument though?
Let's say it again.
If you drop literally every other scan, that will
I'm
literally
leaving the
go against the
receipt, by the way. This is dumb.
consistency.
No, and I don't think he argued against that. Or I don't think he ever said that either.
It got like dismissed.
Huh?
It got this. That's why I'm trying to say like it got dismissed. Like I understand what you're trying to say now, and I'm saying like that's not included in the point.
Well, I mean, I'll show you a timestamp where I just verbatim say that, like, as long as I have one piece of evidence, it would be over yours. So even if it's even though I'm drawing a weak induction, it's still an induction. I said that verbatim,
I
right?
mean,
And
yeah,
I
like I
think,
said, you don't even need a timestamp, and I'm literally gonna rewatch the right. But yeah,
I'm saying I said that verbatim. So since I said that verbatim, right, that would just me winning one of these points mean
but,
it would be more probabilistic. And then the other points don't even contradict what I'm saying. You know that, right? Because it doesn't even show like them being right after the other. And the Roger instance. How does he attack the Roger instance? He tries to say that I can't draw the proper induction from it because it's different from all the other panels. And then I ask
he said that
why.
it's like a biographical format, so obviously it's
Well,
very different from a
well,
conversational format
yeah. And then I asked him like, why would it be different? Right? Because
because it's a
he says
biographical format.
well, no. He says it was a biographical format first, and then I asked, so why does that mean that it's like or why does that mean it cannot be used for induction? He doesn't respond to that.
It's a singular thing. He said it's a biographical format, so it's different from a conversational format. It does not apply.
And no, and I asked him why, and he doesn't respond to that. You might
That
not
would be
think.
the explanation, Doffy.
Well, okay, so you think someone's saying, okay, blue is different than red because they're a different color, and then I say why, and then you don't respond to it. I'm really questioning that. I'm
Doffy, if
saying,
I
well,
give
why does
reasoning
that
as
mean
if
that
to
it's
why,
different?
if I give
He
reasoning
never
as if
gave
to why
reason
blue,
that it's different, and I
Doffy,
asked
that
why.
is the reasoning. The reasoning is that it's a biographical format, which is not a conversational format. Therefore, it's obviously different. Like they're categorically different. That's just an atonement.
No, but I'm okay. So I was questioning that though, man. I was questioning whether or not they actually are different because of that, right? Just because that one is this, or you claim one is this form, one is that form. What does that mean if they're actually different?
Different in what aspect, bro? I don't even like what are you even trying to say?
Okay.
Like I'm saying that like it would be a categorical thing. Like
Yeah. No.
he agrees with the
No.
fact
I
he
know. And I
agrees
was
with the
disagreeing
he
with you.
agrees with your premise that being large amounts of time have passed within the context of the Roger scan that you're sending. He's simply saying that within context of talking about a conversational format that due to the differences between the portrayal of the Roger scan and the Mihawk and what you call the Flamingo situation is just different things. Like they don't apply the same way. If you're questioning why does it being a biographical format make it different from a conversational format, it would just be due to the fact that they're not the same. It's just that simple. A biographical format is different from conversational format. That's like an entailment of them being categorically different.
Okay. So I was questioning the entire statement entirely, whether or not it even fits into that category within itself. Because, like, right, he was saying that this is like a fucking biographer or whatever, and then I asked why he doesn't respond to that. We move on.
Well, if that's what happened, then I'll give you the point. But that's not how I remember it happening. So
All right,
I'll
yeah,
rewatch
okay,
the rest of
yeah,
it. Then.
sure, yeah, go over recording. And but I just want to mix it. So you agree, right? If he says that like this is a biographic format, then I question why we don't touch on that point in any way, shape, or form. You would agree that I would like win that Roger point, right?
The Roger interpretation.
Yeah.
I mean, sure. I mean, I don't even think you lost the point. I just don't think you proved what would like apply in this scenario.
Well, no, because I was saying that this thing happens for most of the pages in One Piece, or most of the panels in One Piece, and then I gave a consistency for it.
Doesn't prove what I said.
Okay, so midnight, right?
I
If
don't
this
want
is
to
a
debate.
page, oh my god, if this is a
Oh,
page
yeah.
in One Piece, right? Just like a normal page, right? There's no crazy difference. The better. He never pointed it out in the debate, right? And then I showed you 2 instances, right, or a consistency for in One Piece panels work a certain.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I already understood your point.
But so how do you mean? How do you think I don't win there if I give a consistency he doesn't defeat it?
I already responded to the consistency thing, bro. Like, I don't want to like repeat myself like the fourth time.
Okay, bro.
I just rewatched the reg, bro. It's only how long was the second point? Probably wasn't even that long.
You'd have to pay me to re-listen to that shit again, bro. I thought they were gonna have like a real One Piece debate. I thought it was gonna be like real arguments, bro.
Midnight, bro.
What's up,
Did you really have to do all that?
bro? I don't even know what the fuck this nigga is talking about, bro. Like, I'm so lost.
Like, who do you want? It was so obvious I won.